hasn't been on in a while.
No.
No.
How did
I think Kenny beat me.
Mike, I don't remember if I saw your card.
Yeah. Well, because I kind of chased some things, so
I see.
I picked right. I didn't get any points.
That was pretty much how it went for me too. There was like, I ended up going 5 for 5 on my picks, but I was chasing points on like Aspinall by decision, like some long odds to try and get it big, but they didn't pay off.
I had Poetan by sub in round 2.
What?
Whoa. Whoa.
I put 300 for almost 19,000 points.
Damn.
I envisioned him just like, dropping him with a left hook or something, and then
You must have
just diving on him.
You must have been popping off a little bit.
Yuri would lose a limb. I feel like.
I was watching and I was just laying in bed, and I was watching and Denise was there, and fucking Poetan won and I flew out of bed.
Mike, if you can turn your volume up anyway, just a little bit, just so I can get you and Brandon a little bit more equal.
I bet if something like that would happen, Yuri would have tucked it in. Who did that? Was it Jacare that like tucked his shit in and like won the tournament? Like, didn't he like tuck his arm into a fucking belt, into his gi, and like win one armed or some shit?
That feels like you saw a movie and forgot that it wasn't real life.
I feel like
I'm sure it's happened.
No, I feel like you should Google
sounds
that.
like some red ball.
I bet you if he had a snatch, you'd be like, "Yep, he did. That was 1998. That was at Metamoris."
Did you say it sounds like I should Google it? Like we don't got a Wesley all of a sudden.
It was actually at Metamoris, and she did a very good job. She also had a broken toe. I don't know if you knew that. It was the left inside toe. You was
just living in a rash guard.
Yeah. They were painted red.
I'm not gonna Google that. Let's just say Buchecha with his fucking. Does Buchecha have one hand?
It was Jacare Souza that he dislocated his arm, I think, or his shoulder, and just tucked it into his belt.
All right, for the listeners.
Yeah.
Is that better? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. For me, that's good.
Broken arm. Let's see. When Jacare Souza allowed his opponent to break his arm. No, that was at the UFC. No, everything coming up is just that from when he got his arm broken at UFC 262. But he certainly didn't win that fight. That was when Andre Muniz broke his arm. Anyways.
Why don't you suck my dick?
Let's dive into it. You want to bring some facts to the table? Google them yourself.
Let's deal in facts now. Let's stop with the hyperbole here.
Google them yourself.
So before I even go forward, I'm just laughing at the fact that. Well, actually, never mind. I'm fucking high. Never mind. Fucking go on.
Are you laughing at my background?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Go ahead, laugh at it. All right, folks, this is UFC 295 Unplugged. I always forget to call the after show Unplugged until Mike jumps on the show and he reminds me that. That was Mike's
idea.
Yeah, that Mike, that Unplugged is like the dopest, like the perfect name for our recap episodes. So yeah, UFC 295 Unplugged happened at New York City. We had 2 title fights at the top of the card. MSG. Alex Poetan Pereira versus Yuri Prochazka, one that we were all looking forward to a lot. First off, what did you guys think of the finish? That seems to be a topic of contention among a lot of people. Like, what? Anybody can go first. Mike, you go first since you're the rare guest.
I thought the finish. Oh, now I'm a rare guest. I thought the finish was fine. I mean, I don't see any contention. Yuri said he was out. Like, I think it's just fans wanting to be like find some sort of controversy in the stoppage.
What if Yuri had died? What if he didn't have? What if he didn't have a chance to say he was out? Just from the optics, like if he didn't come out and say like, no, guys, I was done. Like, what did it look like to you?
No, I still thought he was out. Like, there's like I want to say there's a moment where he first goes over and his hands are just like kind of like straight out. He doesn't know where he's at. Like 3 more seconds, like it's gonna end up the same way. Like So I don't really see. I don't think he was going to survive it. I mean, is there a chance? I guess always, but like, yeah, if that goes 3-4 more seconds, it's just more unnecessary damage, and they're still going to stop it. So, um, no, I was completely fine with it.
What did you think, Brandon? Do you think that there was a chance Yuri Prohashka was suddenly going to be able to scramble out from under mount and get back to his feet and turn it all around?
After watching, but I think you kind of have to know who he was fighting to add context to it. Not the shots that he took from the person he took them from. If it would have been like Jamal Hill shots or Glover shots, or he probably he may have, but you're not taking that many straight shots to the dome from Pereira and just making it okay when you're in guard. Like that's not gonna happen. My first impression was like, whoa, kind of like I had a little twinge. I was like a little twinge, but then it was like, well, I mean, you can't really. The thing that kind of bugs me either way is I've seen like, and I've seen on like lower parts of the card where they give the guys a little like kind of not so much title fights, but they give other dudes the ability to kind of come out of situations that are in some cases worse, but they're just like not for titles. And this one, there just seemed a little faster than those. Either way would be fine with me. Just more consistency across the board would be better. But in this particular case, I thought it was, and like Mike said, like if Yuri said, then who the fuck else knows? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I kind of hang my hat on the most, is just the fact that Yuri came out and said, guys, there's no controversy here. Like after that, I honestly didn't care. Before he said that, I was kind of half and half. I did look at it and think like, okay, right, that left a little to the imagination. That was a kind of a sense that we'll never really know how fucked up Jiri was. But I don't believe that he was going to do the unthinkable and just like, because I was surprised to see how many people were reacting just on Instagram and comment sections and stuff, who were like, there must be some really big Jiri fans out there, because a lot of people were convinced that like, no, like Alex needed to finish killing him, otherwise Jiri was for sure going to get up. Like, but under mount, being under a guy like Alex Pereira, like pause. I think the punishment was going to keep on coming. Yo. You don't take 4 unanswered elbows to the side of the 10 unanswered elbows to the side of the head, and just like. But then again, he's very durable. You know, we saw what kind of punishment he was able to take from Glover to Shera and keep going. So that's why I can kind of understand why some people were a bit disappointed in the early stoppage, because Jiri Prochazka's kind of shown that, you know, he can fight through the adversity. But I think he was out. He said he was out. I think it's kind of case closed.
Yeah. Okay. The thing is too is like, I think a lot of people bought into the kind of angle of them being, you know, one was a fucking hunter and the other one was like a samurai. And so I think like in that sense, they wanted to see one of them just completely go out, like, you know, because go out like a warrior.
Fair.
So I can see why people maybe, you know, wanted it to go all that way, but I honestly don't think you need to go. You don't need to. The fight's done. You don't need these guys to go completely out to call it. Like, just keep them safe. People project a lot onto Yuri, like, you know, and it's just like at the end of the day, he's a human in a cage. Like, you gotta like make sure that he's like be able to talk to his kids and shit. So, like,
and from that perspective too, from the perspective of like, hey, this was shaping up to be a good fight, and I really just was hoping that it would continue and that we would get like a 5-round like classic, because I thought it was a good back and forth fight so far up until that point. Prochazka was using a lot of, I mean, he was being unconventional, which is on brand for Jiri. He was kind of like closing the distance and like feinting like takedowns and then turning it into like big old Mortal Kombat uppercuts that were landing. It looked like he had, I don't really remember the sequence exactly, but it looked like he had Pereira stunned a little bit or kind of rocked at some point in the first round. Took him down for about half of the first round. But at the end of the day, dude got touched. Like Alex Pereira has the death touch.
And I think the thing though is that like it's not even the punch. It's like those kicks were fucking brutal, man. And like
Yes.
it looked like he was barely even throwing him. But like by like the third unchecked one, and Jiri was already tight, like kind of like lifting his leg and kind of like, you know, being like gentle on it. I was like, dude, like how hard is this motherfucker kick?
Yeah. And he
And it's
kept
like,
switching stances, and he was grimacing. Like he'd switch and switch back, and he's like, "Ah, fuck!" And it was like,
and that leg kick is just the ultimate setup for the hook.
yeah.
And it kind of looked like he was almost being a little performative when he was switching stances from the calf kicks, because it almost kind of looked like no, I'm just Jiri being weird and like switching stances on you, and it's like no, dude, your fucking your leg is getting tore up right now.
That shit's all bad, Holmes. That shit's all bad right now. What is that like? I gotta wonder. Like the one thing that has to be crazy is when like you know someone's about that shit. You haven't fought them yet. Everybody's telling you've been in there with like world class guys, and then this guy does some shit like that, and you're just like, fuck. Like, is that like a sinking feeling? Is that like a who gives a fuck? I bet it's different for everybody, but like, dang, that must be the wildest thing to have to deal with.
Yeah, I wouldn't even begin to know how to deal with something like that. I think Jiri answered as best as anybody could have expected him to in going for the takedown, because I mean, really, if half of the first round hadn't remained, you know, or if half of the first round wasn't on the floor, that's more time that Alex Pereira clearly he intended to pour on the low kicks early and kind of chop him down. And yeah, Mike, I mean, great observation. Like if it had continued like that, then it was definitely going to have an impact on Jiri Prochazka's performance for the rest of the fight if he was managed to take him into deep waters. Like, yeah, because I mean, I think he landed something like 11 calf kicks over the course of the fight. I don't remember how many.
And not a single one was checked.
Right?
No, he just kept walking into them, man. It's like they definitely picked up on that, like watching tape, that clearly Jiri does not care about checking leg kicks.
What if? What if they would have let him go and nothing really happens? He gets out of it, but they just allow Poatan to like play with his food for a little bit, and then it turns into a sort of El Kukui situation where we're watching his career be ended on live on television, where it's just like he's taking so much damage, there's no coming back. So honestly, for Mark Goddard, like, you know, thank you. You know what I mean? Because now he has his facilities. It seems like way more. He didn't take his crazy nerve damage, you know, and he had an injury already. So that's probably the best thing, is just get out of there fucking quick if he was going to do that to you all night, you know?
Man, like really good. They're really good for you to like harken or compare that to the Tony Ferguson thing too, because like, yeah, I feel like that's one of the best examples that we can kind of look at, because that really was the downfall for him from that point on. And like in retrospect, I mean, it was entertaining, and it was kind of like a morbid kind of like, I can't look away from this, because that was the first time that they were in the apex and we could hear all the punches landing. But like looking back on it, it's like, yeah, why did we need to see Tony Ferguson like take that punishment for 5 rounds? Like they could have stopped that at any point. He never had any moments. Oh, well, I think he knocked down Justin Gaethje, I think, right?
I don't know. He rocked him. I know he hit him with a couple of decent elbows, but there was never any like this might go the other way. It was always kind of like turn it off.
I think he knocked down Michael Chandler. I'm sorry. I apologize, Justin Gaethje. Yeah. I think he hit.
Let's deal in facts here.
Let's deal in facts. So yeah, you guys think that Jamal Hill is rightfully up next for Alex Pereira? We haven't even mentioned the fact that like what Alex Pereira, I'm getting ahead of myself, what he accomplished here, like getting the championship in the second division now in MMA, and his record improves to 9-2. At 9-2 in mixed martial arts, this man is a former middleweight UFC champion and a current undisputed UFC light heavyweight champion. Like, it's just, I want to ask you guys if you think that he's potentially in contendership for like fighter of the year for 2023. Just on the Fight Plug podcast, you don't have to like try and guess whether other publications or media sources are gonna go the same direction, but.
Well, before we kind of get on that, I think we also got to mention that, you know, he broke Randy Couture's record of getting there in the least amount of fights for 2 titles. He won 2 titles in 7 fights. So
Wow, great. That's
I
a
don't
great. Yeah, yeah. I didn't realize that.
I don't
I didn't
think
know that
that's
either.
something that will ever be done again, unless some former champion comes in and actually, just fucking dominates. But
I
I
think
have
it
a
can be
feeling that
done.
record's gonna hold for a while. Oh, it's
I
gonna have
think.
to be a big star. They're gonna have
Uh-huh.
to. There's gonna have to be a lot of planets that align for someone to do it in 6 fights.
Deontay Wilder gets light heavyweight and heavyweight.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna have to
Uh-huh.
be something wild.
You certainly need a special fighter to do it, but I mean, Alex Pereira, he won the fights, but his path to the middleweight title wasn't without a little bit of, I don't want to say fabrication, you know what I mean? Like they kind of set him up with a path to the middleweight title, a winnable path. And I'm not saying that that's how I would want to see anybody do it in the future. It worked out for Pereira, and the reason I think it's possible is because we just saw Pereira do it. You just need the right fighter for the UFC to get behind and want to strap the rockets to them, like a Bo Nickel. Bo Nickel is what, 3 fights into the UFC right now, or 2? I
3.
get confused because of the Dana White Contender Series. So, like, if they really wanted to fast track him and say, like, fuck it, Bo Nickel, or put him in on short notice in a middleweight title fight right now against Sean Strickland, he has the wrestling to make that happen. And if, let's say, he decided he called out Leon Edwards, and the UFC were still like rock hard about it, and they're like, fuck yeah, fuck it, we'll book you against Leon Edwards. And now, I know this is a whole lot of ifs, but if the UFC wanted to play ball with something like that, like, it could happen. It would still shock me. It would still be amazing. Like I'm not saying, I don't mean to cheapen it or anything and say like, oh no, this is going to be a common thing or anything like that. But I don't think it's that impossible.
I'm just gonna
Yeah.
start it off by saying that Bo Nickel had to fight more than once on Contender Series, and Raul Rosas got a fucking contract after 1 fight. So
Yeah, shit
I
don't
know
make
if he's
sense.
ever gonna be the guy. Yeah, like it is. I don't know. I just don't see it happening. Like I think Brandon's probably got it close. Like maybe Deontay Wilder comes in, has some fucking takedown defense, and just
I'm
fucking
gonna
blast
laugh at
dudes.
the Deont.
Like it's possible. I mean, it's possible. Like it's
Is
gonna
there
have to
any
be a world
difference
class athlete.
between, I guess, size wise and skin color? But is there any real difference between like Pavlovich and Deontay Wilder at heavyweight? And look how close Pavlovich came.
Heavyweight,
No.
all you gotta do is stop a takedown, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought it was a
And
weird
Pereira
example
just
because
won light heavyweight, and he's a kickboxer.
yeah, I'm not the one that's gonna be here and be like, no, that's ridiculous, because I just made a case for why it's not ridiculous. I totally agree. I just thought it was a weird example that you're gonna go outside of MMA, but I mean, you're right. I mean, Pereira was a kickboxer that came from outside of MMA, and
Don't
and
forget,
did
he was
the
also
thing.
double champion in Glory, which is also the premier fucking kickboxing organization. So you're talking about
Yeah.
double champ in both respective sports of the top of their organizations. Like,
That's insane. Very insane.
By the way,
I just want
I want
because-
to mention that I'm very, very upset that both of you guys have cameras off, because when I'm kind of going off on a tangent, I can't read your faces or see if you're agreeing or
Oh.
disagreeing with me or anything. It sucks. You guys suck for that.
Let me put it on. There you go. You can see my furrowed eye. So like
That's all I need is the furrowed
yeah,
brow.
So go ahead and
look
like
all haggard, dude.
yeah. Go ahead and check the chat for the link that was sent within that chat that I sent, so that the thanks, Mike. So that they know that I in fact stand on business. So go ahead and let everybody know.
I'll make sure to put this link to a Reddit comment about Hodger Gracie breaking Jacare's arm in I haven't clicked it because I'm afraid it's going to take me out of the Google chat or
yeah.
something, but I'll put that in the episode description of the the YouTube
Well,
upload.
anybody with half a brain would be able to find that. So you probably don't have to do that, but
Shout outs to Psycho Sid, dude.
Who's Psycho Sid? Me? You talking about me now?
No, I remember you said anyone. You said anybody with half a brain. You don't remember the promo?
Oh no, I
You-
don't remember that.
Nah, I'll fucking post a video.
Normal people don't remember those promos.
You remember
Was Sid
Dusty
Vicious
Rhodes
you
not
talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just post a video.
He said you don't remember the promo.
Dude, he was talking directly to Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I knew it.
I always forget, like fucking
The promo. If anyone says the promo, my mind goes to Macho Man's the Rising Cream or the Cream of the Crop promo. If you say the promo, that's the promo. I'm sure I've seen it. No, I'm sure I've seen it. But to tell Brandon, like, hey, you remember the promo?
Mine's always Manel Cop's promo. That's when I think of promo.
I don't know why it's like fucking Brandon knows wrestling.
I was Attitude Era guy, but like everybody was, you know what I mean? Because like I was like the fat kid like doing the DX suck it all weird at school. That's what I did. Like weirdo. That's like where my wrestling acumen goes.
Does getting back to this light heavyweight division a little bit, does anybody feel like the top of the light heavyweight division finally has some stability now? Like all of the chaotic factors before. I'm not saying that like, oh, I think Alex Pereira is going to be here now and it's the Alex Pereira era. I mean, I think it's very likely that he potentially loses the title very soon too. And he's an older fighter. I think he's 37. So, but like just in the sense that some of the important like chess pieces of this light heavyweight division were off the table for a bit due to injury. We had the title just bouncing around, and suddenly guys who weren't even in line for the title were fighting for the championship. And we have, I don't know, 3-4 former champions now over the last 2 years. Like, does it feel like things are normal now?
If Adesanya jumps in somehow, then it'll really fuck things up.
I don't want that. Good point.
It will be really stupid if they let him jump in. I don't think they will.
I forgot about that call out. I don't like that call out. I'm done with I'm done with that trilogy.
Dumb. That was the only low light of that. But
I think if you got knocked out and the guy like fucked with your kids in front of them, I'm pretty sure you'd do the same though. You know what I mean? Like I'd be like, "Hey, motherfucker, remember this shit? You fucking owe my kid, dude." That's what I owe my kid. You owe my kid to let me see me like let him see me fuck you up.
So we're all on board with Jamal Hill. Like ideally, should get the next shot at Pereira.
That's a long.
Yeah, it should be.
That's a long fucking drawn out thing, dude. If you're not Aaron Rodgers, that's a long ass fucking.
They're gonna save that fight for 300. Watch.
Pereira versus Hill. I could see that.
Yeah, that's a 300 fight.
Will he even be close to have? Because that's like they said like 18 months for a kid.
For some reason, I thought I heard him say he was going to be good to go by like March, but maybe I'm tripping.
If he could, because I feel like that happened like 4 months ago.
I don't remember.
It probably was, but it feels like it was so.
It felt like a lot longer.
Yeah.
If it was
4 to 5 months, I think.
If it was 6 or 8, then I would say okay, but I think because like from what I understand, and it happens a lot in basketball, football. Like it took even like Kobe. It took him really. He was never the same, and it took him really 1.5 years just to look normal. He said the hardest part was practicing. So like, if it takes you like 12 to 18 months, just to be able to really practice the right way and to get into like world class heavyweight shape, because you can't do road work, obviously. Yeah, you can't. It's really hard to do. Yeah.
So just real fast before y'all going, it happened in January.
I was about to say, let me be producer.
Yeah.
January 21st.
We're good.
We're all going to be over a year at that by the time March goes around.
Well, we're all good then. Yeah. I thought it was like not, but damn, fucking January. Fuck, dude.
Well, the fight. The fight with Glover happened in January, but the injury was not too long after. It was no more than a month
I thought he got it in that fight, but
No, he was
Okay.
probably the champ
He
for
got
like a
an
couple
injury.
weeks, and then almost turned around and had to vacate immediately.
They said it was because he gets too fat in between, and he gets too chubby in between camps, and it really fucks with his gait and the way he's able to train.
Yeah.
And did they ever specifically say what his injury was? I don't recall.
It was It was like a torn Achilles tendon.
Oh shit!
Which is
that's why you
awful.
mentioned Aaron Rodgers. Oh, of course.
Yeah, which is fucking awful.
And Aaron Rodgers says he's supposed to be back by mid-December.
If they're like in title contention, but that's the Jets. So
So obviously, Jamal Hill up next, or should be up next. I think we agree about that. Ankalaev is booked against Johnny Walker for their rematch to make that right.
Refresh my memory. I don't remember. I remember it was controversy and it was like an early stoppage, but what exactly happened? I can't remember for some reason.
Ankalaev kneed Johnny Walker. Well, Johnny Walker was technically a downed fighter, and they called foul and paused the action. And then the doctor was asking him in English.
Where are
Johnny
you?
Walker. Yeah.
He
And
said the desert.
Johnny Walker said, "I'm in the desert," and he called the fight off.
That's right. That was in Abu Dhabi. Okay. Yes. Now I remember.
Yeah. So I mean, as much as they want to cast off Ankalaev, the guy has been deserving for a little while now. He's going to be a factor. Johnny Walker's on a bit of a hot streak. If he gets a big win in that fight, we could be talking about Johnny Walker, being in contendership. Rakic, John Blachowicz are going to run their fight, or about to rematch soon. So I guess, and then Bellator is going to be going under. They have one more event. So a fella by the name of Vadim Nemkov, who knows where he's going to end up? Like that could potentially inject some more interest into this.
Him and Yuri in UFC, like run that shit back, boys. Like let's see where we're at.
Sick. Yeah. So all this to say that I want you guys to grade the light heavyweight division currently. Like what was your grade before maybe, and what's your grade now? Where does it stand for you? And don't compare it to the other divisions, just grade it on its own.
Out of like 10?
No, a letter grade.
I was thinking letter grade.
Yeah, letter grade.
I give it a solid C+.
C+, interesting.
That's fair. I'm about where Brandon's at.
Yeah. I guess
it was at a D minus, maybe high F, like a 59 prior. Nah, it was lower than that. What am I talking about? That thing was a mess. That was a straight up F.
I would say for me it went from like a D to like a B minus maybe. But
I think it's like,
to me, it was the worst division in the UFC during that whole title debacle.
There's trouble.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's not a great division in terms of like skill for skill if you're going to compare it to other divisions. But I've always thought there's interesting characters there. It was just, for one, it was lorded over by John Jones, so that was a thing. But it was almost a different cast of characters when he was there. And then, all these injuries and the title just being a hot potato title and jumping around all over the place. Like some of those instances, like literally being a paper title when Jamal had it. It sounds fucked up to say, but really, I mean,
I think for me, sorry to interrupt, but like with the light heavyweight title, I think my problem with it and why I can't create it higher is because if John Jones was still around in light heavyweight, I still think he beats everybody.
But he's going to lose to Tom Aspinall soon. And then he's going to retire. He's gone. He's out of the picture. I mean, I get that. There's still a looming presence, but...
Yeah. And I guess through the fact that he just never, he vacated it or, I think that's why I'm kind of low on light heavyweight as well. It just feels like no one's, I don't know. That's
even so close to retirement, he's still going to cast a shadow over that division for a while. Yeah,
it's going to be slow. Like I feel like it's like you ever see like a cartoon when like the desert gets rain and it's just like slowly like shit. Like, so John left. When John was there, it was just the desert and there's like no chance you're getting anything. Now there's like a little bit of rain coming in and like shit's opening up and like you can see like little flowers off in the distance and shit. And I think guys are going to be moving up in weight, and I don't know if Almeida stays or goes down, because Almeida can technically still fight, and I know as much Mike would hate to see that, but he can still fight in light heavyweight. He has,
Oh, what does he fight at a heavyweight?
He was like what's his name, had
207.
Yeah, he fights like 207. Yeah, fucking he gives up like sometimes 50-60 pounds or something.
I didn't realize he was a small
not
heavyweight.
that much. I mean, he is a small heavyweight.
At time of walking in, they said that in the last fight that Derek gave him, Lewis, it was like almost like at weigh-ins, like as they walked in, Lewis was like close to 50 pounds heavy.
Well, I mean,
I could see that.
Lewis 265.
Yeah, and I think Almeida's usually like in the early, like the low 30s, like 231, like around there.
I would have guessed 235 just based on how he looked.
What's embarrassing is that all this Googleable,
All right.
But yeah, he's a lighter.
Well, you fucked that up already. No. You fucked that up already. I wouldn't do it if I was you. We need Wesley here. Wesley, Google what weight did Jotun Almeida walk in?
This was supposed to be Rodell's job. Rodell was supposed to be the Google guy.
Dude, Rodell would if Rodell had the job, he'd just be showing up. It's 9:43. And he'd be mad as fuck, dude. He'd be yelling at us.
All right, hold on. Love you, Rodell.
Just scratching his head hella hard.
Not gonna listen to this. We could also send Rodell this exact episode and give him a timestamp to it and see if he ever reacts to it. But
he will.
But I'm just gonna go out and say that I think, and you'll probably think it's a meme, and it's not, because I'm actually serious about it, and I truly do believe it.
That you think Gabby Garcia is a 10. We know.
No.
We know.
Al Capone has a shot at this title, dude.
Yes.
I'm 100% serious, dude.
I forgot to mention the dark horse of this division.
Yes.
By the end of 2024, he could possibly be fighting for a light heavyweight title and could possibly win it, dude.
I'm down for that.
Capone is a live dog against anybody in that top five.
Yes, he is.
He could wrestle. He could sub. He's got KO power. Like, the dude's a threat.
And he's got straight up experience, veteranship. He's got the edge in that area. Not against everybody, but like I think Jiri's record. Let me go back to that screen. Prohashka's like fucking 29-4. So he doesn't have everybody beat in that regard. But absolutely, I co-sign that in a big way. Nikita Krylov is a fucking.
If that fight happens, that's going to be a fight companion, and I'm going to have the fucking pop-up of the forever if he wins, dude.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned John Jones. Yeah, I'm here for it. And he's a big reason why I'm interested in this light heavyweight division all of a sudden. I think if you did a tournament, I think now is a fantastic time to do tournaments that we love to talk about, but we know the UFC will never do. I think my hunger for a light heavyweight tournament is real, man. I think that there's a lot of really interesting matchups you could make there. The winner gets a shot. But anyways, let's move on to this co-main event, because we've spent a lot of time on this main event now. Tom Aspinall versus Sergey Pavlovich. Brandon, I know the viewers listeners can't see, but you're not on camera for this one, and you got to eat your crow a little bit, man. But so do I. I mean, I think I think I picked Pavlovich on with you on the episode, even though I picked Aspinall on Verdict. I believe I picked Pavlovich on the show.
I'm happy to. It really sucks just because of how much I like Sergey a lot. I think he's a good fighter, and that was like a swing. That was like basically like, if you really call it, like what Mike just did with Nikita Krylov is what I did with.
Yes, you dared. Sergey. You dared to be great. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was like, fuck it. So what was I gonna do? Like, wait until he goes up against some fucking British guy? Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, let me just take fucking a year of fucking whatever I did, and then let's just Tom Aspinall. Well, fuck. But
For the
I mean,
listeners, Brandon used quotation fingers when he said British guy.
yeah. Well, if he would have lost, he would have been Polish. But or he would have claimed Polish. But yeah, I mean, what was I supposed to do?
Mhm.
I mean, and I think if the fight goes, I think if they run that fight 5 times,
Yeah.
I think Sergey could win twice. You know what I mean? But Aspinall's fucking just, and it's not a bad feeling. It's like, well, that guy was fucking sick. Like, that's just sick. You can't. Who fucking knew? Like, we act like we knew that was gonna happen. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, if anyone knew that was gonna happen, then you're fucking crazy.
Yeah, Aspinall. I mean, I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, go on.
No. Just the thing for me was, I was wrong where I was dead wrong, and I have to take full ownership for being dead wrong about it. Was I thought, and I came to like this epiphany afterwards, where I had said on the pod that I thought that Aspinall coming off injury probably wasn't training as hard, or how could and Sergey had been fighting, but going through training camps, but not really taking crazy injuries because it was just 1-round fights for like 3 years straight. So I thought it actually turned out to be the other way around. I think because of the injury, Aspinall was probably a lot better suited. He was doing more therapeutic stuff, not hardcore training camps. And Sergey kind of walked in when you saw him. And the thing about UFC is they do that like fight. It's like a marathon of like all the fighters' fights on YouTube for like 4 hours. Like all the sick fights from everyone on the main card, they just run them on a loop. And so like I like watching those like at the gym before the night or the afternoon before. And Sergey looked a lot more lean and a lot more. He had defined not like 6-pack, but he had abs. He looked more lean. In this one, he came out doughy. He came out very doughy.
I noticed that too. I've definitely seen him a bit more sculpted and I just a little bit softer. Like you maybe put on a little bit more weight after weigh-ins, possibly. But I'm not sure how much he has to cut down for heavyweight, if at all. But I'm there with you, and I didn't mean to make it seem like I'm gonna rub it in your face or anything like that. I just needed a way to transition to this fight. But I think we both underestimated Tom Aspinall, like for sure.
I did by far and away. I thought he had it in him, but I didn't think after injury. I definitely thought, and you and I both are on. That's what I've said this a million times. We have a record of saying like this guy's sick. He's fucking badass. But then after the injury, it was like, damn, that's a wild injury to come back from.
You always have to really see how they're going to perform coming off of an injury. Right. Anything to really know, like, okay, is he really back, or is this going to be a lingering thing? I
really hope nothing comes out of the closet on this guy, because that is wholesome as fuck. And it's as much as I love Sergey, and I still do, it was so sick to see him like the way he did it. Like everyone just loved him. It was universally like, this guy's cool as fuck. Yeah. He dedicated to his dad. That was so sweet.
How about that embrace too at the stare down? Yeah, during the stare down, like that. that was pretty I kind of love the way the commentary just like laughed at it. They didn't really know how to process it. So you got the John Anik laugh, which doesn't come out very often. He's got a really fucking obnoxious little laugh. But what's going on, Mike? Technical difficulties.
No, like the entire call froze. Sorry.
Oh, okay. You're back. You're good.
Cat in the frame now.
What up, Cat? What up, Gato? Yeah, no, I adore Tom Aspinall. I like him as a fighter, and but man, like before this fight, he came out and said like, I'm not here to get in a pissing match with Sergey Pavlovich. I'm not here to mess with them.
Or a dick measuring contest.
Or a dick measuring contest. Or he might have said, I don't remember what it was exactly.
They said
so based on that statement, like I didn't think he was going to come out to throw hands with Sergey Pavlovich, and we've seen so many fighters make that mistake before.
Yeah. And he got popped. He ate that. He ate it. He ate a fucking Honda Civic to the dome, and was just like, "Fuck you, dude." Like,
I thought it rocked him at first. I thought that was getting ready to.
It kind of did, and
the beginning of the end.
Yeah, he just stood back, and when I saw him jump back into the pocket, I was like, "Fuck." He didn't just like automatically die for the shoot. I was like, "Fuck yeah, nice." But then he just. And
Yeah, and
I really dislike rich people. I really do. So like for me to say this shit.
and it's one of those deals too where it's like, is there any more stiffer test of somebody's chin? Like if we had any question about whether or not Tom Aspinall had a a chin or was chinny or anything, not that it's something that was even in question, but you haven't seen a guy really get his clock cleaned, and you kind of want to know where he stands with that. To eat that left from Sergey Pavlovich and then go on to put him out and ice the dude is just a statement and a half, man.
That was cold as fuck.
Yeah. Mike, how are you ranking him right now with the weirdness that is the heavyweight division, with John kind of being on the back burner with his injury, but being the undisputed lineal champion, I guess, if we're going to use that term? How do you like Tom Aspinall's? I don't know. I don't want to ask how you like his chances against Jones, because there's a really good chance that fight doesn't even happen. Like I don't even know if it's worth speculating about, but I guess, do you think he's really the best heavyweight right now? Should he be the actual champion? Should this have been for the undisputed strap?
How long was Jones going to be out for?
I think they said 8 months at least.
8 months? No, yeah, interim's fine.
Or was it 18 months? The 18 months sounds too long. Something with a fucking 8. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Wesley, can you Google how long a Tyrannoball cycle takes, Wesley, please?
No, I mean, Aspinall versus Jones is the fight to make.
I want to see that fight so bad, man.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely. Yes.
I have zero interest in John versus Stipe. I actually have zero interest in Stipe in 2023.
Yeah. He looked like a lesbian. He looked like a junior college soccer coach, like a women's soccer coach.
I do still believe John Jones is still the best heavyweight. I really do want to see the Aspinall fight, because I think in terms of matchup, it's probably stylistically the best matchup for answers, I guess. And I think that fight is going to be would be great. But let's just say John Jones, the fight doesn't happen, and we never see Aspinall versus Jones. Then yeah, I think Aspinall is the best heavyweight in the division right now. And I mean, it's heavyweight. It only takes one shot from anybody, but I don't see. I mean, Cyril Gane's fucking calling for it, and
Cyril Gane's fucking.
We know how that fight's gonna go.
He was actively ducking both Sergey and Tom. So
yeah, I was gonna say, like, it wasn't like a few months ago he was saying that like he didn't deserve the fight, and then as soon as he wins the title, he's fucking calling for him.
Yeah. So
they shouldn't fucking make Cyril fight like
Sergey Pavlovich.
Sergey, yeah. That's a good comeback fight. And honestly, dude, I don't know what you do with Stipe. They're probably still gonna do John versus Stipe. It's gonna be stupid. John's gonna destroy him, and he's probably gonna retire, and it's gonna be dumb. But nah, Aspinall versus Jones is a fight to make right now.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's another carrot that you can really dangle for Stipe, or a proper kind of like legends fight. I mean, John versus Stipe does kind of make sense in that regard, but I feel like I don't want to be hypocritical, because I know I always say, like, I wish they would send like veterans out more gracefully and not just be all ruthless about it and send them to the glue factory all the time. But John's a special case because he's been on top this whole time. He is still technically undefeated, and he's been so dominant despite the fact that he's been away from the sport for so long and has taken time off, intermittently throughout his career. So it's one of those deals where it's like, hey man, like, you are still considered the greatest by a lot of people, and a lot of people are still going out of the way to call John #1 pound for pound. And it's one of those deals where it's like, okay, if we still want to treat him like that all the way up until the end, I don't care if it's his last fight before he retires, I want to still see him fight competitive fights and give someone else a shot at the glory of being able to say, hey, I beat John Jones right before he hung it up. you know. And if John Jones had a few losses throughout his career and, you know, was still considered, you know, this great spectacle of a fighter and awesome, then I think I'm more willing to be like, yeah, give John Jones like an easy like retirement fight and something that's more just for the glory. Or so yeah, I'm a little bit kind of down the middle on it, but man, yeah. And also right now with everything that just happened with Francis Ngannou outside of the UFC and the kind of splash that he made, I think Tom Aspinall versus John Jones is a real hot chip that the UFC could play to really draw eyes away from that whole situation, because no, they were not going to do it with John and Stipe. I just can't believe that the numbers were going to be there for that. So to turn it around and be like, well, actually John versus this guy Tom Aspinall, who suddenly captured the imagination of anybody who's been paying attention to this division, I think that's very competitive, man. And I think John can win that fight too. I think it's kind of a pick 'em for me, man. I think Tom Aspinall's well-rounded enough, fucking fast enough, moves like a middleweight, at heavyweight. He sparks just as much like fascination in the idea that like I think he could potentially be the guy to finally beat John, and also I could see John also just running through him too, because you just never know. John's that good. So yeah, it's a great potential fight, man. I hope they can find it in them to do it. But I'll settle for Aspinall versus Cyril Gane, I guess. I don't know what's left for him. What if not John? Who though? That's the thing. Have we mentioned that? Like
what?
Like if we don't want it to be Cyril Gane, because he was actively avoiding Aspinall and Pavlovich. If he doesn't, he's not going to fight John. Both John nor Stipe seem interested in fighting Tommy Aspinall. So like, who's next for Tom? Like, I don't know. Nobody's really jumping out at me.
Trash, dude. I mean, the only one we got down the pipe is Jailton, dude. Like,
and nobody was.
Well, like everybody else is trash, dude. Like, I'm sorry, but like, no one else is gonna beat fucking Tom Aspinall, like, or John Jones. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Jailton's only other guy that's gonna fucking do anything too, you know.
Right. And I mean, I guess this, whether John fights Tom Aspinall or not, I guess this division has a potential to get boring no matter what, or too top heavy. But
fucking Marcin Tybura is in top 10. God damn it.
Hey, Marcin Tybura is a factor. Yeah, man.
Who's the guy? Right. Who's your guys' boy? Parker Porter. That's right.
Yeah.
When did he become our boy?
He's always been your boy. You guys are always posting about him.
I don't remember posting any Parker Porter shit. Brandon?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's hardly our boy.
I always said that when like Parker Porter fought, I don't let my wife watch. Because like that's her type, you know what I mean? And I don't want her to see a man doing that kind of shit, because I am kind of like body wise like him. So
you're worried she's gonna be like, well, why can't you be doing that to put food on the table, or instead of your dope ass sales job?
But yeah, he
where you don't get CTE.
Like, yeah, he kind of looks like that cat whisperer guy. Have you ever seen that dude that's like the cat whisperer who's like, no. Check that shit out. Wesley, you want to Google cat whisperer
on YouTube?
No, well, he's probably on YouTube, but he had his own show on like Animal Planet. It was a meme a while ago. He's like the wildest looking guy, and he looks like Parker Porter a little bit, to me anyway.
Googling it, cat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen this guy, and yeah, he does look a little. He looks like Parker Porter lost all the weight. Yeah, he's going through a little bit of a midlife crisis with his facial hair.
Got a little tweaker, Parker Porter. Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of looks like he should be like on one of those competitive cooking shows, but instead he just made his whole personality cats.
Just trashing kids' cake. We got like 9 minutes left, and Jessica Andrade is fucking sick as fuck. That was badass.
Yeah.
Thank you for the victory clam in the chat. Thank you very much. I'm gonna use that right now to get to bed here in a hotel by myself.
You're horrible. Let me stop recording. Let's jump out and then jump back in. That way we can break down that fight, and then we'll put a wrap on it there.
Okay.
Just a
I'm
moment.
gonna let the cat out too.
All right, we're back. Ready to go, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. You might want to. I don't know if you can turn up a little bit. You sound kind of low again.
I think my mic was just a little far away.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, you're good. All right, so the last fight that we are going to recap on this episode of UFC 295 Unplugged is the feature bout, Jessica Andrade versus Mackenzie Dern. Jessica gets back into the win column with a fucking really messed up finish of Mackenzie Dern. One that's kind of like been in like, if we read the tea leaves and look back on Mackenzie Dern's kind of career, like she's kind of due for this kind of a finish. Let's talk about the regression in her boxing after parting ways with Jason Perillo. And I don't know the reasons why she parted ways. Actually, isn't one where I dived into the interviews or anything. I just assumed that she couldn't. My understanding is that she couldn't afford Perillo this time out. So I'm not sure if it's an ongoing thing, but
that's kind of crazy.
I mean, because I know both women had the
slack or something.
What was? I don't know how that works really, but then it also kind of made it sound like she might have switched gyms
route and paid in other ways. You know what I mean? You can always do that.
You're fucking horrible. But yeah, man, the hands. I was never really convinced that they made like a great turn, that she was suddenly like this good boxer or anything like that. But against Jessica Andrade, she went out there. She still offensively manages to throw some impressive combinations, and she has power in her hands, and we saw her land on Jessica Andrade and kind of piece up Andrade a bit herself. But it was one of those deals where it seemed like she managed to land her best shots on Jessica, and then Jessica was just still there. And I feel like that kind of freaked out Mackenzie Dern, and it's like, holy fuck, like I hit you with the hardest shots I've ever hit anybody with, and you're not going away. And then it kind of just seems like the wheels fell off. Jessica Andrade knocks her down like 4 times in the last finishing sequence and gets her out of there. Really, really impressive turnaround. A great way to get back into the win column for Andrade.
Most knockdowns in a single fight,
and she
4 in WMMA UFC history.
I wasn't sure if that was just in WMMA or
no,
across
just
the
WMMA.
board. But
It actually ties the record for, I guess, this regular MMA too.
And this is strawweight.
Record is also 4. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and this is the lightest weight division. Not a division where that's known to happen. Not to say that, you know, these girls don't get knockouts down at strawweight, but for 4 knockdowns like that, man, she put the wood to Mackenzie Dern, man. I think well, for one, both of these girls should probably take a little bit of time off, because Andrade has been out there super busy, just going in and you know, punching in the clock and taking her losses in her last 3 fights. But I think it's one of those deals too where this kind of like puts into perspective, like Andrade isn't as washed as a lot of kind of people were kind of like painting the picture. She's, you know, we have to remember like the kind of competition she was facing: Tatiana Suarez, Erin Blanchfield, Yan Xiaonan, who's emerged as a contender at strawweight. Like it's easy to look at those 3 losses and be like, she should probably consider hanging them up or going elsewhere. But I don't know. I think she's going to be a factor in strawweight still if she wants to stay there. I think there's still a lot of girls who are beatable by her. I still think it takes like a special type of athlete to go out and get in there and kind of go toe to toe with the physicality of Jessica Andrade. I think, you know, her cutoff is probably like top 5 at strawweight, in my opinion. But what do you think about Mackenzie Dern, though? Because I feel like this was also the turning point for her, where a lot of people, the commentary weren't as willing to kind of like make it sound like Mackenzie Dern's like still the next big thing that they've been holding on to for a long time.
Mackenzie Dern's trash. I said that since from the beginning that I've watched her fight. Yeah, she's trash. She even hit her with the finisher move, which is a head and arm choke, which that's pretty much, you know, cancel Christmas if that happens in a WMA fight. And Andrade got out of it. So, you know, that's how, you know, that's crazy.
That was a bit of a moment where that was like, oh shit, she's Andrade's on the bottom here, like, and it's still relatively early into the first round too. So I bet she got back up and she wasn't going back down after that. It's like I know Andrade's been training with Tatiana Suarez for a little bit after their previous fight, and I just kind of envisioned that Jessica told Tatiana, like, yo, I don't want Mackenzie Dern to take me down, and Tatiana was like, fucking say less. So but either way, even without the Tatiana Suarez training factor, I don't think Mackenzie Dern's wrestling has ever been good enough to just take down Jessica Andrade like we saw Tatiana or Erin Blanchfield take her down.
Right.
Would you agree, Mike?
I think with Mackenzie Dern, with the UFC, I think she's hit her ceiling. I mentioned in the chat too. I think when we were watching the fight too, that I truly think Mackenzie Dern could go to the PFL and dominate the PFL and collect $1 million, every year for the next probably 3 years. I just don't see her going in any higher than the top 5. Is she going to be a tough test for anyone? Yeah. But I have a feeling pretty soon that's what she's kind of going to turn into. She's going to be that fighter that you start testing your prospects against. I guess almost kind of like the division top 5 gatekeeper almost. So yeah, I just think it would be, I don't know. I don't know if she does come back. I don't know who you give her. I don't see her fighting for a title. With Bellator closing down, I think PFL is probably, like I said, I truly do think she would dominate in the PFL, and it's probably the better spot for her right now. And I think someplace like the PFL could also benefit her in terms of growing as a fighter, getting more experience, kind of getting that over there, and then maybe eventually coming back to the UFC, after kind of grinding some wrestling, getting those takedowns up to where they need to be. Because at the end of the day, she's still a threat on the ground to anybody.
She's been so close. She's been like right there, like flying so close to the sun, within striking range of a title shot on multiple occasions in the UFC. Like, we know like what the fights were, where it's like, okay, if she passes this test, whether she really deserves it or not, the UFC will put Mackenzie Dern into a title fight. And despite being that close, she's still never worked on her wrestling, which is just, we've talked about it before. It's just astounding to me that you could be that good of a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu player and that dangerous, and yet you seemingly put no time into what you need to take the fight into your world. And I think that's the biggest frustrating part for me. And I agree with you that she could go to PFL, and I think she could do well there. I don't know. I honestly don't know what the PFL's flyweight or strawweight division looks like. I don't even know if the PFL has a strawweight division, if I'm being honest. But yeah, if they do, and she wants to go make at least $1 million, I think she could win one of their tournaments. But I don't have faith that she does the work to become any better of a wrestler, or at least to convince us that she should go back to the UFC. If she went that route, I think she stays in the UFC. I think they'll still keep giving her opportunities. She's a bit of a promotional darling, whether it's because she's attractive or because when she gets slick submissions, like, there's still highlight reel like level stuff. Like, she does still, when she can get the fight there, like, she's still impressive. But it's weird, man, because she's had the promotion on her side the whole time, and she still hasn't done the work to like finish off her game, because she doesn't need to be a good striker. I don't think she ever, I mean, it's great that she worked with Perillo for a bit and improved a bit in that area, but it's like, don't go wrestle, go put on some headgear and some Asics. Like, I want to see, that's always been my biggest frustrating thing about any fighters. Like, we've talked about it, the grappler, the jiu-jitsu players who refuse to get good at, like, and I think you brought it on with the whole head and arm choke comment, Brandon, because it's like, dude, when I saw that, I was like, we're doing this. I was a little bit disappointed that it worked on Jessica Andrade too. Like, Jessica Andrade feels like she should be immune to that with the kind of experience that she has. But yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, so Mackenzie Dern's trash.
She is. Thanks. Yeah.
Nice take. All right, guys. Is there anything else that you guys want to talk about in the world of MMA? It doesn't have to be related to UFC 295.
We talked about a pat on the back for me and you, Benoit Saint Denis and fucking oh boy, god damn it, why did I forget his name?
Matt Frevola.
We're gonna call this segment "Quick Hits."
Yeah, that guy. That we said that fight is gonna be fucking crazy, and it was. That shit was crazy.
BSD is gonna be a problem in the division. That's my takeaway from that fight. Let me run down this for quick hits real fast. Yeah, BSD is gonna be a problem. Diego Lopez is gonna be a problem. Lupita Godinez had the great win over Tabitha Ricci. Ricci has some stuff to work on, but she's definitely going to be back. Jared Gordon, good win over Marco Madsen. And crazy draw. You guys probably saw that. Yeah, it's quick hits for me.
Give me Mateusz Rebecki versus Benoit Saint Denis all day. My new fucking Polish darling, Mateusz Rebecki. He's everything that I wanted Gamrot to be. He has fantastic wrestling. He actually looks like he can keep the fight on the ground. He has good top control.
And you gave up on Gamrot already?
No, Gamrot's still a factor. But Gamrot, as much as I enjoy watching him scrambling all over the fucking place, at some point it's like, okay, now keep your opponent down. Because he's relentless with his takedowns. But once he gets the fight to the ground, everyone just pops right back up. And it's kind of frustrating to watch.
It's like Guido scrambles.
A little bit, yeah. But Mateusz Rebecki, all of that, and just an absolute wild man when he's throwing his hands. Is it nice? Is it textbook? Not at all. But he throws with every bit of his power, and I couldn't ask for anything more. I think that's an interesting chip in this lightweight division that we'll be keeping an eye on. Jared Gordon gets a real fucking feel-good finish against Marco Madsen. I wasn't expecting that, but Mark Madsen is, how old is Mark Madsen now? Mans is 39, so yeah, getting pretty close to 40, but good win for Jared Gordon.
He's almost a man.
Impressive one. And we didn't even mention about the main card runtime, man. All finishes on the main card. Everyone fucking delivered. This is going to be a tough one for UFC 296 to live up to. I've heard that the combined fight time of the main card was 21 minutes, and I think you guys posted that it was 18 minutes earlier before. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not going to do the math, but yeah, man.
Yeah, I think it was like around 18, 19 minutes. So lots of padding. Makes you realize how padded out sometimes UFC cards could be. How they stretch 19 minutes of fight time into
they were like
3+ hours of pay-per-view.
A lot of shots over to Trump, a lot of shots over to just like go back to Trump, go back to Trump.
How about any speculation as to who the advertiser was that Dana said that he told to fuck off when they told them to when they allegedly told him to stop like publicizing Trump?
It was probably Modelo.
I don't think it is anybody. That's my take. I think it was just I bet it was a bullshit story. Yeah, I think that was Dana trying to make himself sound like a bad boy and be like, yeah, one of our advertisers told us to not, show Trump anymore, and I told him to fuck off. And I'm just like, why would you even tell us that though? Like, I don't know. I think it's made up. That was my initial take, anyways. And you fights booked that we want to mention or that we're excited about. The Shanghai card apparently is moving to Vegas now.
Was there any news on that? I never saw anything on that. I just saw
I don't know that it was verified because I just saw it from that one tweet that you shared, and that was it. I didn't see.
I figured I probably would have blown up, but maybe I literally haven't seen any news on it today, so maybe it was fake news.
Possibly. Well, guys, I don't know what else to talk about. I'm ready to hang it up. Thanks for joining us again, Mike. Appreciate you.
No problem.
Brandon, thanks for sitting through our me and Mike talking about WMMA and
no man, thank you guys.
It's fun. Yeah,
it's
always a pleasure when Mike's involved. A rare treat, if you will.
Rare.
Yep. Sign us off,
Yeah.
Mike. Do an outro.
Yeah, sign us up.
Thanks for coming. Like the video, share the video, subscribe, leave a comment. If you want to see anything else, you know what to do. Now play me off, Keyboard Cat.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Good night. See you guys.